Please give a warm welcome to our luncheon keynote speaker, Dr. Erin Hudson.
Well, I am so excited, incredibly pumped to be with you ladies. You are my tribe. And let me just think for a moment. Goodness, sorry, I'm out of breath. And I even went to the gym today and got it on. Okay, with my girl Shannon. And if you guys want to come tomorrow morning, we're going to do another workout. And you're welcome. I was in your seats, my goodness, in 2015, just getting started. Now, hold on, let me catch my breath for a second here. There is nothing I love more than being able to pour into women like yourself. And how awesome has it been already? And we're only a half day through. Has it been awesome? Yeah? For sure. So this here is my incredible team. And I'm gonna share a little bit about this team and how we came together. But before we get started, I'm gonna set the stage with a little glimpse of my childhood and what that looked like. I will never forget coming home from school, knocking on my mom's door. Mom, you're never gonna believe what happened today at school. And unfortunately, her response was, Erin, I'm exhausted. I've had a long day at work. I'll be out in a little bit. And if I get real with you, that was her response on the regular. Can anybody relate? Did anybody come from a home where your parents worked 9 to 5 and they were so busy building somebody else's dream, right? And with that festered resentment and some anger because they were busy building somebody else's dream, working 9 to 5. And what I felt was abandonment. And with that festered anger and frustration because they were so busy building this dream for somebody else. And what I could tell you is, I never wanted to live that life. I wanted to do it differently. There was just one problem. The problem was, as a young teenager, I didn't feel like enough. I didn't feel like I was cute enough. I didn't feel like I was smart enough. I didn't come from the right family. And I was a struggling schoolgirl. I struggled in school a wee bit. But something I did have that many do not have is grit. Absolute grit to not quit. And what I will tell you is that girl who wanted to become her own boss, who wanted to go bigger in life, and who wanted to change the flippin' trajectory of my family's life forever. And so that girl, that insecure girl, went on to be the first in her family to graduate from college. The first in her family to become a doctor. The first in her family to become a damn real estate investor. And I'll tell you, today, at the ripe age of 46, I've purchased 31 apartment buildings, right? And so what I will say is this. The reason I tell you that is because, listen, I tell you that because maybe you, ladies and gents in the room, maybe it's your turn to become the first for your family. And it doesn't matter whether you are a savvy investor, a passive investor, or perhaps you're just getting started. What I really want for you ladies in the next 2 days is to commit to something, to commit to put on your game face, to start thinking bigger. Start thinking bigger and take massive, massive action. And so it all started. Well, first let me tell you what we're going to talk about while I'm speaking here. We've got 4 things. How and why I chose to reinvent myself at 40 years old. Number 2, how I turned a trial into a mighty, mighty triumph and landed the most incredible team. Number 3, I'm going to share with you why you must bet on the jockey and not the horse. And number 4, we're going to talk about mindset, okay? So with that being said, here I was. I had a couple wellness centers in Southern California, 2 offices, 30 employees. I was grossing 7 figures annually. And let me just tell you, I ate work, I drank work, I slept with work, and I'll tell you, I was addicted to work. And one thing I can tell you, I was really good at making money. And I thought the more I worked, the more money I would make, the what? The happier I would be. But there was something missing. I did not have fulfillment. And when I say I didn't have fulfillment, I really wanted to impact more lives. I really wanted to have more freedom in my life. And so check this out. In 2015, this is where it all began. I will never forget a gentleman walking through the door, one of my patients, walking into my wellness center. His name was Joe. Joe walked in, and my daughter was the receptionist at 14 years old, working at the desk, and she says, "Joe, how's your day going, buddy?" And Joe says, "Man, it's been a great day." And so what's the next question? My daughter said, "Well, why is it so great?" And he goes, "Well, listen, I just bought another investment property, and I'm getting some more mailbox money." And so here I was in the other room. It's his turn to come into the office. And I said, "Joe, listen, I'm sorry, but I was eavesdropping, and I heard you in the other room say something about investing in properties and mailbox money. Can you just tell me, what are you talking about? I'm a little bit intrigued." And he started to tell me, and let's just say this, he gave me some pointers, some tips, and I was off to the horse races. I ended up investing in Indianapolis of all places. It was the lowest hanging fruit as far as purchase price to be able to buy a property. Call it $40,000 a door. I could do that. And so with that being said, I started to buy properties, and I bought 3 properties for $150,000. I'm gonna give you a great example here what I did. I bought 3 properties for $150,000. I increased the price on 2 of them to the $150,000, and I took the 3rd and I kept it for me for free. And I rinsed, and I repeated, and I rinsed, and I repeated, and within 2 years, I owned 26 rental properties. And so that was my start to getting into the real estate space. Wow, I had 5 kids. Wow, I had 30 headaches. Wow, I had 2 wellness centers. Are you guys catching what I'm throwing down? Excuses are big, fat, well-planned lies. And so if you come and tell me you don't have the time, you're barking up the wrong tree. So what I will say is, after 2 years, I had acquired these rental properties. Fast forward, I get invited to go to this event. And this event was to learn about multifamily properties. And I'll never forget telling the individual that invited me, "You know what? I'm not gonna go to that. That's just for the billionaires." And all of a sudden, here I was at this event. I'm sitting in the front row. I go begrudgingly. My arms are crossed. And I remember thinking, why in the hell am I here? I own 26 rental properties. I'm good. And all of a sudden, it was as if the Red Sea parted in this aha moment. And I had been playing Monopoly, landing on Vermont, which was my rental properties. And y'all know Vermont, right? They collect the cheapest amount of rent was on Vermont, right? And all of a sudden, I realized that I am capable and 100% worthy to land on Boardwalk every single time, i.e. the apartment space. And so what I will tell you is, I'm not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of girl. I'm like, let's go big, all the way or not at all. And so let's just say, from that night, my mind went to places that it had never gone before. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to take massive action. And I went and literally packed up my family within 6 months, moved my whole family from California to Texas, joined a mastermind group, and all of a sudden, as I joined this mastermind group, and I'm wanting to take down these multifamily properties, and it's been some time. 2017 is when it started, and it took me 18 months before I took down my first property. Why? Maybe some of you can relate. I was the chick that was wearing all the hats, trying to find the property, trying to underwrite the deal, trying to find the money, talking to all the brokers, right? And so then I got my big break, which was in 2019. And here's what happened. I actually had a husband and wife that were from the mentorship group. And they said, "Erin, we would love to partner with you. We found this great deal. Can you bring the money? $2 million, right?" So we end up partnering together. We take down this property. 2 days after close, all of a sudden, $35,000 goes missing from the bank account. My hair's raising, and it's been some time. Well, with that being said, I went to her and I said, "Hey, did you take some money out of the bank account?" To the wife, we were the only ones on the bank account. She said, "I sure did." I said, "For what?" She goes, well, my husband needs to get commission since he's the broker and he's the buyer's agent. I said, with all due respect, the purchase contract says 0 commissions for the buyer's agent. And let's just say I lost sleep. I thought, oh my goodness, I've got these 28 investors, $2 million of their hard-earned money, and now I'm in bed with frauds. Terrifying to say the least. I lost sleep. I had to hire attorneys, get them off the company, and all the things, right? And as I went back to reflect on, holy smokes, what went wrong? I'm gonna tell you, I had some missteps, and I'm being totally vulnerable with you right now for a reason. I had some missteps, and those missteps were, when I got the red flag, what did I do? I dismissed it. I dismissed some of the red flags, and when I say red flags, what am I talking about? These are things that you're gonna wanna do with your people. You go to lunch, and all of a sudden, he was a little bit disrespectful to the waitress, not very courteous. And then with his wife, he had a little argument in front of me. And so these were things that I dismissed, and I allowed when I never should have allowed that, nor would I ever. But why did I? Because I had the excitement and the anticipation of taking down my first deal, right? And so here's my one thing I'm gonna tell you about that. Why am I airing all the dirty laundry? Because I don't ever want any of you to ever find yourself in that type of position. And there's a way to avoid it. And that number one thing, and your takeaway for today is, when you feel that burning in your belly, don't dismiss it, okay? I remember thinking at the time, to hell with this. If this is what multifamily is all about, I don't want anything to do with it. I better go back and just be in private practice and keep on with my single family rental properties, right? And then you know what? The Lord has a funny way of doing things. And all of a sudden, a month later, here I am. My mentorship group that I was a part of, that I had paid $60,000 for, was putting on this conference. There's 1,000 people in the audience at this conference. And they say, Erin, we want to bring you up to the stage. We want to give you an award for closing on your first property. Y'all can imagine, I was walking up with the tail between my legs, not feeling so good. How many of you have ever felt imposter syndrome? I had that to a whole nother level. And I got to the stage and the MC said, hey, Erin, we heard something about you. And I said, well, what's that? And I'm thinking, holy shit, it better not be about what just unfolded. And all of a sudden she says, we heard you need to share what you did to celebrate the closing of your property. And so I said, listen, I travel with my kids. We go to third world countries, to places like Belize, and we build orphanages for the kids. We go to Haiti and we feed the poor. And as I started to share this, I said, we've already built, and right now our hearts turned towards Nicaragua. And we were building homes for the single mamas living in the trash dump. We'd already built 12, and after celebrating the close of this, we were gonna build our 13th home. So I said, yes, we've built this 13th home. And all of a sudden, I started to have tears coming down my face. And I couldn't compose myself. I started to get tears down my face, and I said, if you ever get the chance to help those that can't help themselves, your heart will never be the same. And I started to have these tears going down, and then all of a sudden, I started to feel a burning in my belly, and I couldn't kick it. And out of my mouth came, I would love to build 2 more homes if I can get 2 people to match me. The room went dead silent, and I thought, what did I just do? Here I am at a multifamily event, and I'm asking for people to take part in my philanthropy, right? And all of a sudden, in the back of the room, this gentleman raises his hand, he hops to his feet, and he says, I'm in for $5,500. And this woman in the front row rises to her feet and says, I'm in for $5,500. And within 10 minutes, we had people popping up everywhere. I'd raised $55,000 for the single mamas living in the trash dump. Pretty cool. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will tell you, I'll never forget that night going back to my hotel room, and I said, Lord, why did you put that on my heart? I could have got dejected off the stage. And he says, as clear as day as night, those that rise to the occasion to pour in such a great a cause as this are the kind of people that you need to be partnered with. And I'll never forget that night. Guess what happened? After that night, 6 months fast forward, the fire starter that rose to his feet is Maurice Philogene, and that's my partner today, the guy in the salmon shirt. The woman that rose to her feet that day is my partner, Kim Wenland. Why do I share that with you? Because when you link arms with incredible souls that have a desire to pour goodness into the world, they're about impact, you cannot help but to fly like eagles. Hence, that's why we've been able in 3 years to take down 31 apartment buildings, over 2,000 families that we provide safe and affordable housing for. So, whoops, obviously I'm behind on my slides, but that was me getting that award for the Give Back Award that I had just shared with you. So here's what I have to share with you next. You also, yes, you want to have the right hearts with your partners, but you also want to link arms with individuals who their greatest strength perhaps is your greatest weakness. What do I mean by that? See the guy in the teal shirt? This buddy of mine, partner, life partner, amazing soul, he could be locked in a closet, running numbers. He's our head of acquisitions. The chick in the front row on the far right, Kim Wenland, she is our asset manager. She does all the budget reports, construction reports, property management. No thank you to either of those roles. Am I capable? I absolutely am, as should everybody be. But my flow state, guess what my flow state is? My flow state is raising tens of millions of dollars. And so for me, the team has a standing joke. When we go to speak at events and we're traveling together, we go on trips together, I always got to get my workout in, right, Shannon? So with that being said, it's hilarious because my team has this standing joke. Erin goes to the gym and people just open up her wallet, and she always comes back with hundreds of thousands of dollars raised because I've gotten so many investors that way. That's what happens when you you raise money, whatever it may be. If you stay in your flow state, in your genius, you can't help but to have uber success, especially when you link up with the right people. So now that we've discussed teams, and now we've talked about being in your flow state in which you most easily, and it's ease for you, that's where the lane you should play in. So now let's just talk about a couple properties. We're gonna do a couple case studies here. And this here is the Preserve It Valley at Mill Creek. And so this is a property that was in a two-part portfolio, 240 units. This particular one is 36 units. And I'm gonna share with you how Team Quattro dealt with unexpected changes and how we came out on top. And so with this particular property, 36 units, it had a master lease with Shaw Flooring. And Shaw Flooring had it for years. And with that being said, what happened with COVID? Oh my goodness, COVID did its thing, and all of a sudden Shaw, they broke their lease. And we had 36 vacant units. And so what happened there, before our plan was an 18-month business plan. And as the leases expired, we would do our rehabs and then we'd fill it back up. Well, we ended up having all vacant units, and Team Quattro actually ended up doing the renovations and getting all leases filled within 3 months. And our rent went from $785 to $1,175. And we were able to execute, like I said, in 3 months. Check out what this did to our bottom line. So we bought this property for $3.5 million. And within 3 months, because of the rent hikes that we got, our value soared to $6 million in 3 months. Okay, so what is that? That's a delta of $2.5 million. And in simpler terms, also a 75% value increase within 3 months, right? So let's go to the other one. Here we are. Well, let me go back here. So this is a great example of how we took lemons, and what did we do? We turned them into lemonade. Somebody said it earlier, be the person that provides the solution. You can sit there and cry about the problem, but is it really gonna help you, right? So here we are, the second one. This is Quattro fulfilling our team values. And when we bought this property in Georgia, this property, the good news was, we bought it at $42,000 a door. The bad news was it was 60% occupied. And so with this particular property, the conditions were horrible. There was not electricity with many tenants. They didn't have functioning appliances. They didn't have running water. So we came in and made things right. It didn't help though that this property, it was like the problem child in the area. The looks of it didn't help. It kind of looks like a little bit of a prison. And with this one, you can see we've transformed it, the bottom picture there. And this is still known as the affordable housing option in the area. When we bought it day one, the rents were $500. We brought them to $850. Again, an incredible $350 rent bump. So with that being said, here's the great news. As a team, you can do good, all by doing right by a community, right? So don't be a slumlord. Make sure you take care of your people the right way. So now that we have spoken about a little bit of that, now we're gonna move to betting on the jockey and not the horse. So just imagine for a moment, when I talk about the horse, what is the horse? The horse is a property, and many people get tantalized by the incredible returns of the property, the beauty of the property, right? And so when we go to the horse races, that horse is the property, and the jockey is the operator. And the amateur is gonna bet on what? the horse. And the wise one is gonna bet on the jockey. Why? Because the jockey is the one that takes the horse across the finish line. Just like the jockey, i.e. the operator, is gonna be the one that executes on the business plan to ensure success and so that the investors end up winning, right? All makes sense? Does everybody catch it when I'm throwing down? Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Awesome. So lastly, we're gonna finish with the most important thing, the mindset, okay? And so with mindset, believe it or not, whether you are a savvy investor or you're not an investor or you're a passive investor, there's something that we're all lacking. What is it that we're lacking? We're lacking thinking bigger. We are lacking thinking bigger, and most people think, oh, to get in the game, it's gonna require all this tactical. But it's really not, guys. It's the mindset that tends to be our biggest barrier. And so one thing I will tell you, I have to plug in daily for my mindset. And so that's why I hang out with my buddies. That's why I hang out with the multimillionaires, Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Brandon Bouchard, Ed Milet. Okay, listen, I don't hang out with them in person, really. What I mean is, this is an anomaly. I was at his house. That is not photoshopped, but what I will tell you is, listen, we all have access to hang out with the billionaires. It's getting on the podcast, turning them on, getting your mind right. And you gotta think bigger. You've got to be stretched. You've got to expand. It's kind of like when you go to the gym. When we go to the gym, what happens? We go there for 3 months and we start to notice a difference. We've got some nice good build on our muscles. We're feeling a little confident and we're feeling good, right? But after 3 months, if we stop going, what happens? The muscles start to degrade. We don't feel as good about ourselves, right? We daily have to be stretching ourselves. And so I want you to think just for a moment with me. I shared with you in 2015 is when I got started in the single family space. And let me tell you something. When I first got started, the idea of purchasing a single family property seemed absolutely impossible. And then guess what? I took down a property, and then another, and guess what? That became my floor. Somebody had talked about it earlier. And the ceiling then became the $5 million property. And then once I purchased that $5 million property, it became my floor. And then all of a sudden it was the $30 million property. And then it became my floor. Remember, I started purchasing at $40,000 a pop. And then I'm on to purchasing properties at 40 million a pop, right? So do you understand the power? You've got to think bigger, and you've got to want to expand your capacity. And when you expand your capacity, that becomes your new norm. It's easy. You've gone there. You've been stretched, right? And as you see it right here, I want you to see right where it says, your life will never get bigger than your biggest thought. Let's pause for a second. I want you to take that in. Your life will never get bigger than your biggest thought. And when you start to think big, something incredible happens. And I know all of you are gonna know what I'm talking about. When you start to think big, your vibration and your frequency increases. Yes? Everybody give me a yes? You start to feel good. And guess what? When that happens, you become known as the energy shifter. And as you become known as the energy shifter, something amazing starts to happen. People want to be around you. Why? Because when they're around you, they win. When they're around you, they think bigger. When they're around you, they're inspired. So here's the thing most of us have to do. Change our stinking thinking. And Gandhi says it best. Beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And so I've sold myself on this principle. If I'm willing to do what others aren't, I'll have things others won't. And I want the same for every single one of you. You just have to expand your capacity to think big. Because check this out. In the word impossible is what? Possible. And in the word don't is do. And in the word can't is can, right? And never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I'd become a doctor at 26. Did I ever think that I would own 26 rental properties in 2 years? Did I ever think I'd do 200 wholesale transactions without my real estate license, raising 5 kids, working in private practice? You see what I'm saying? Did I ever think that I'd own 200 million assets under management? My kids, I never imagined my kids at 14, 15, and 16 becoming real estate investors. My hell, I didn't even know what a real estate investment was at that age. Or my kids, never thought they'd be owning their own Airbnb shipping container homes. Never did I think that I would be the chick that had 5 different income streams. Did I ever think that I'd be opening up shipping container retreats? I never thought that I'd be standing on the stages inspiring and expressing the possible to people. And I just want to remind you something. It's time for you guys to dream big. Because the truth is, you belong in your dreams. And your dreams are just a preview of what's possible. So I'm gonna ask everyone, if you can follow directions, everyone rise to their feet. I want everyone to rise to their feet, and together twice, I want you to repeat after me this, okay? Here we go, let's practice it. You ready? I can, I must, and I will. Again, I can, I must, and I will. Okay, so check this. Especially for those Tony Robbins followers. You gotta own this sucker. We're gonna do it again, and we're gonna shout it 3 times, and I want you to be louder than the person next to you. I want your hand in the air. I want you to embody this sucker. I want you to truly talk yourself into it, right? And here's the thing. After we're done shouting that 3 times, I want you to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to say, I believe in you. And I want you to turn the other way, and I want you to say, I believe in you. All right? Can everybody follow directions? Give me a thumbs up. All right, so here we go. On 3. Ready? Together. I can, I must, and I will. I can, I must, and I will. I can, I must, and I will. And I believe in you. So ladies, you can tell I'm pretty passionate about what I do, and the truth is, I want all of you to win. And so I put up here my contact information, and if you're deadly serious, not curious, deadly serious to start making moves, I want to pour into you, just like Beth does to every single one of you. And so my contact information is up there, and I would love nothing more than for you to come to the event and introduce yourself to me at some point, and let's go. It's go time. Yes? Let's go.
You love how she can jump in all of her pictures. How high can she jump? Okay, so we're gonna do a little Q&A. I know, yes, Josie, we're running over time, but we're gonna just do a little Q&A. So how do you think she can jump that high in those pictures? Does that happen in the gym, Shannon? She jumps in higher, okay. And love the red shoes. Everyone knows I love these shoes. So amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, the accomplishments, but the charity work, right? I mean, that, and the fact that, like me, you wanted to be a mom. You didn't want to follow. My mom did the same thing. My parents worked 24/7. We owned a bar, right? They woke up, we lived upstairs from the bar. So they were always too busy or too tired.
Right.
So I knew I didn't want to do that with my son. So, and you've got 5 and 3 grandchildren.
And 3 grandchildren.
Crazy.
Yes.
So a few women are very interested in accredited versus non-accredited investors, and I thought you would be a great person to talk about that.
Awesome. So there's a lot of deals that are out there. Most of them are either you're going to hear 506B, 506C. How many people know what an accredited investor is? Like, is that like gibberish what I just said?
Half of them do not.
Okay.
So
we're going to
pretend
go there.
that, yeah.
Okay, so an accredited investor is you have to make, if you're not married, it's $200,000 a year for 2 consecutive years. If you're married, it's $300,000. And in addition, you have to have $1 million of net worth, and it cannot include your home that you live in. Make sense? Everybody give a thumbs up if that makes sense. Yeah. So with that being said, you're gonna hear 2 different offerings that usually come about. You're gonna hear a 506C, which means you're most likely gonna find that investment on social media or maybe within the group with women, and you can advertise. As long as you're an accredited investor, you can invest in that deal. What you won't see is if you have a 506B offering, which is not, you do not have to be accredited for that, but you cannot take it to market. You can't put it all over social media. It's kind of like a quiet. Why? Because you have to have a substantive relationship with that person that brought that deal to you. Does anyone not understand? Because if you don't, it's okay. Let's go over it again. Raise your hand if you're lost.
Talk about the unaccredited again.
The unaccredited. So you don't have the $1 million
the net worth.
Yeah, you don't have to have the $1 million. You don't have to have anything. As a matter of fact, I don't want to really go there, but they're looking to change the rules and regs on accredited investors, and you just have to be savvy, and there's some other to it, but not the numbers. So that may be passing here in the next year.
Yeah, like you can take a test.
Yep, you can take a test on your business savvy.
That hasn't been passed yet.
Hasn't been passed, but it's going in that direction. So with non-accredited, anyone can invest. But here's the thing, is when you are working with a deal that's a 506B and you don't have to be an accredited investor, the operator can only have up to 35 non-accredited investors. Why is this important? Because you don't want to take down a huge deal, and now all of a sudden you have more than 35 investors that are non-accredited. You're going to have to turn them away, and you're going to have to go find other money, right? So be careful with the size of the deal that you take down and keep that 35 number in mind. Make sense?
Any questions about accredited or unaccredited? And Erin is going to have a breakout. You're going to talk about your shipping containers,
yep,
right?
I put it up right now.
Yeah, so she has a whole other business she didn't talk about that she's going to talk about in her breakout session. So feel free to join her, and you can ask her more questions also about that.
So just for a little jump in, it's really shipping container. We build and sell shipping container tiny homes. Think of Chip and Joanne, and we're using them for affordable housing, for Airbnbs, and then it's the lowest barrier of entry for children to be able to get started and investing in something that costs $40,000 that they can put, as Nidhi said, as an ADU in your backyard, and it allows your kids exposure and how to create an Airbnb and run something like such. So. And then we're also going to be talking about OPM, other people's money, because that's a big thing that I hear when I ask people why they're not getting started, and they say, I don't have the money. And I said, well, what if we can bring a solution to that, and it wasn't about the money? Then would you want to play? Yes. So I'm going to give a little tips and tricks on that as well.
Would you like to bottle up this energy? Yeah. Thank you so much.